rule of small business. I think what a lot of people operate under, and I know I have before as well, owning a business, is the old adage of never let them see you sweat. There used to be like this graphic of a duck on a pond, and you were looking at a side view, and the caption was always something like, above the water, never let them see you sweat, and then below the water said, but paddle like hell, and had the motion of the legs and all that. And I think that's the way a lot of business owners think they have to be. That's the image they have to project, as if they have it all together and everything's coming along, and it's not just a ton of work that absorbs your whole life if you let it.
And it can absorb your whole life. I think that's been one of the rules of small business that, or one of the unspoken rules of small business that I have always felt like needed to be broken, is the you have to be on the clock 24/7 rule. And before I had kids, I was always the never let them see you sweat and answer the phone call no matter what time it is. And at one point we had a client that would literally call us at 3 a.m. and she was in the same time zone as us. She was just had no boundaries. And when we got pregnant with our oldest son, and I was put on bed rest, all of a sudden I had to draw boundaries for the first time with clients. And it was insane to me how at first I was so scared that we were going to lose clients, but most people are willing to say, you know what? Yeah, it is after hours. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And unless it's a crisis, usually.
It's funny you bring that up. You're right, because as business owners, that is our first instinct. We see the phone ring, you're like, oh my God, I've got to answer this. There's a problem. If I don't fix their problem, they're going to go somewhere else. You're always worried about losing customers up until a certain point. And I can remember before Heather and I had kids, I had a lot of restaurant clients, credit card processing, a lot of merchant services, restaurant and bar clients. And it didn't bother me when they would call me at 9, 10, 11 o'clock on a Friday or Saturday night and be like, hey, we have this error. We're trying to do tip adjustments and we have this error. That was fine. But then after we had Olivia, I remember Olivia was in the co-sleeper next to Heather on her side of the bed. It was a Friday night at like 10 o'clock. And for people who aren't parents who may hear this, you don't realize 10 o'clock is late when you've got a new baby,
I know, especially a little baby.
And I had my phone on the bedside table, and my phone rang at like 10 o'clock on a Friday night, which for most people, that's, they're still up, whatever. It woke up the baby. I'm taking the call. I'm trying to talk them through what they need to do. And after I hung up and we got Olivia back to sleep, there was a brief but important and somewhat tense conversation about what I need to do. But until that point, I had never drawn any boundaries about it.
It is. And it's for every small business owner, there does come that point, like whether it's children or marriage or an injury, whatever it is, something happens where you do have to eventually draw that line, and you have to realize that I've got to be real with people. I can't keep doing this above the surface. Everything's going to be okay as long as I don't let people see me sweat, and as long as I answer the phone, no matter what time of day or night it is. And then there comes that moment for every small business owner where you realize that you're a human and your clients are human, and you can have human interactions with them. And I think for a lot of small business owners as well, they don't have systems in place to feel comfortable getting to that point. And I think that's where a lot of automation comes in handy, and a lot of the tools that we use when we build Reactor. I think a lot of that comes from the conversations that we've had in life and the situations we've been in where we've had to say, what can I do so that my clients are seen to, even though I've got to run to urgent care with my kid at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday.
Right. You're absolutely right. And that brings up something actually kind of that just happened this morning with a client. I got a really angry email from a client, and they have something on their outgoing message of their digital invoices that says this includes a non-refundable convenience fee of 3.5%. So if there's a refund, the customer doesn't get the 3.5% convenience fee back. somehow that outgoing message had gotten changed, and somebody took off the 3.5%, and it just said a non-refundable convenience fee.
Oh no.
They had to do a refund. A customer got really annoyed and made a point that it doesn't say how much the percentage is. So it cost my client, $400 or $500, which is bad.
Yeah,
And they were
it's a
mad.
pretty big amount. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they were mad. They emailed me, so I called, and he said, "You cannot change our text on the outgoing. It's there for a reason." I said, "Well, hold on." And so here's what I'm getting at. I think another unspoken rule is the old adage of the customer is always right. So that forces us into so much tension and stress. So with this one, I had to look at the logs of who had logged in, who would be able to change that. And it was nobody on our side. Nobody had logged in except for me. And you could see I was only in certain areas. And I had to say, you, this person, and this person are the three people that have logged in to that area. Nobody else. So to be able to push back politely, not rudely, but to be able to get past that, the customer is always right, and find out what the real problem is a big help too. So how do you do that? If you don't have logs, I was thinking about some of the stuff we have in Reactor with the phone calls and the smartphone or the airphone stuff, being able to record and have a transcript of the calls so you can see what is there.
Absolutely. And I think having that information arms you with a little bit of a different conversation than the customer is always right or the customer is always wrong. I think you start with a different viewpoint altogether of, we're in this together and we're solving this problem. Let's go back and look at the transcripts. Let's go back and look at the logs. And if it's me, I'll fix it. If it's not, we'll find out what happened and we'll make it right. And that way you're not taking ownership of something you didn't do just because the customer is blaming you, but you're still actively working with them to make the problem not necessarily always go away, but to make the problem work better for them in the future.
Absolutely.
And I think the transcripts are huge in that. So I think as far as a conversation about what the unspoken rules of business are, a lot of it can be broken with the right systems in place that allow you to be a human being.
Absolutely. I agree. And that's kind of the whole genesis behind the very first idea I had 10 years ago of what I wanted this to be. And it's so exciting to finally be here now, to be able to provide these kind of tools to entrepreneurs and small business owners so they don't have to live the life that I've lived, that you've lived, that other small business owners have lived, which, honestly, sometimes it's not much of a life because it's working 16, 18 hours a day. So now they have the tools to still live a life and grow their business.
I agree. And I think you and I have both heard this before from family members of like, oh, you're so lucky you can work from anywhere. And you're like, yeah, but I would love to take a vacation just once where I'm not sitting on the beach with my phone answering emails. And I think that is exactly the conversations that we had when we started Core Concepts, that for us, we both had come from service industries where we could work from anywhere, but the idea was, what systems can we put in place so we don't have to work from anywhere? We can choose to work, not have to. And I think that's been a huge game changer for me as a small business owner and as a part of a small business, to be able to be a human being again and not just on all the time working.
That's right. Because for all the benefits of remote work, when you can work from anywhere, there's sometimes an expectation that if you can work from anywhere, you can work at any time. And,
exactly.
And if you don't have the right systems in place, not only will you be working from anywhere at any time, you will be working from anywhere all of the time.
It's true. And I think that's, for me, was huge to get my time back. And I wasn't necessarily like, because I had children by the time I had this realization. So it wasn't like I got time back and I could just sit back and relax. But I all of a sudden was able to raise my kids. I had a pen pal I was writing to at one point, and I made the statement to her, I feel like I'm missing my kids growing up. And but I work from home. So I'm watching them literally out of the corner of my eye grow up, and I'm missing it. And then we started our business and we started building Core. And especially when we brought the Reactor product online, all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, I get to be a part of this now. And I get to watch the reason I'm working. I get to now be a part of that. I'm not just working to watch other people enjoy my kids.
You're not an observer anymore. You get to be a participant. Like for me, the biggest thing, I've been doing this a long time. And my kids are 11, 9, and 7 now. They played sports since the oldest was 3 or 4, organized sports at the Y or whatever. So since we started using Reactor and using these systems, what it's allowed me to do, instead of just going to the games on Saturday to watch them play, I'm now assistant coaching the girls lacrosse team that both my daughters play on.
Do you know anything about lacrosse?
I don't know a thing about lacrosse. I am learning on the fly, watching YouTube. We have a lot of experienced coaches, thankfully. And I'm teaching defensive concepts, which I'm good with, and they apply across a lot of field sports. But yeah, I'm getting to participate and be a coach with them. And the girls think it's awesome. And I think it's great because I know how little time 18 years really is with them. So
no time at all. Yeah. I know you got to get to another meeting, so we'll wrap this up here. But I think that this is a really good conversation about how the unspoken rules of business can sometimes end up controlling your life outside of business, and how the right systems in place can make all the difference in the world in giving you back your time and giving you back your family, and allowing your business to operate while you're not physically on the phone, on the computer at somebody's house doing their job.
It becomes a business and not a job.
Exactly. So if any of our viewers have any questions about how they can be working on systems to help them get their life back, or if they have any questions about some of the unspoken rules of business that have been controlling them behind the scenes, we would love to answer them. Drop a comment. We'd be so happy to answer that in our next episode.
Yeah, let us know what your unwritten rules of business are. Maybe we have a system that can help it.
Absolutely. Or maybe you've got systems in place already that we haven't thought of, and we would love to chat with you to find out how you've got those in place.